The European Union has every year a year where they concentrate on one particular aspect which affects citizens. We had recently the European Year of Languages, and this year is the European Year of People with Disabilities. Now, that doesn't mean that we only concentrate on these themes for 1 year and then forget them, of course, but it's a way on focusing and involving people right across the European Union in all 15 countries about something that matters.
You know how sometimes you watch the television or listen to the radio or read the paper and it talks about the disabled? Okay, it always amuses me that I wonder who the hell these people are. It sounds like a different tribe or something. Hit it!
There are an enormous number of very good employees who are not getting jobs because of a preconception as to what disability is.
The reason, I think, comes back to this attitude of a different tribe, it's different people, it's somehow not us.
It can be summed up in a few words: fear, uncertainty and doubt.
I think often employers, from an employment perspective, are just nervous. It's not wicked people, they're just nervous and they don't know what to do and they don't know anything about disability. And human nature being human nature, when you don't know what to do, you avoid it.
It could be little things. For example, rather than communicating directly with a deaf person, they will go through a third party, and that's treating the deaf person as if they're stupid. My husband explains the problem in his way as the ogre theory. People are frightened of me because of the communication problem, and they see me as an ogre. There's a beautiful scene in the film Shrek where Shrek is talking to the donkey about how people see him. And he says, "The world has a problem with me. People look at me and they say, 'Ah, help,' and then run." And then he says sadly, "They judge me before they know me." When I saw that in the film, I thought, wow, that's exactly how I feel about people's attitude to me.
It's not what you can do, what your capabilities are, it's what you look like.
Where you have people who are different, that's the key. Disability is not the key, the difference is the issue. Where you start introducing people who are different in any environment, at first there's always apprehension, as there was here. When I first came here to set up the diversity division, there was a lot of apprehension, and these are nice people. Now everyone's completely used to it because we've got a number of disabled people working for us. We try and get people up to a certain level of knowledge and awareness around disability, so it becomes very normal and very ordinary. And so that way, non-disabled people feel just more comfortable around disability. They're not embarrassed or frightened they're going to put their foot in it.
The brilliant thing about working with Alec and Stephen is their attitude. They both believe in working with people's strengths, not their weaknesses. And this is very revolutionary for me.
You know, you start to have some people on short-term contracts or on work experience, and they have a disability, and you start to see them as people and not as people who can't do certain things, but as people who are actually excellent to do a whole range of things. You then begin to normalise the fact that, you know, okay, so that's fine, it's no problem having Jill working here because, you know, it's quite an easy adjustment to do this. Other people help on that, but actually Jill takes over from them on a whole other side of things.
human beings have to be quite imaginative whenever they come across someone who's different. What we're finding in Grassroots, because we've been doing it for a number of years now and we're used to it, is that people are now much more used to thinking laterally.
It's really just about employers being able to look at different ways to support people without really too much cost incurred, without too much effort.
We just approached it with Jill on a completely human basis. How are we going to sort this out? And of course, Jill, because English is her first language, communications through email or MSN Messenger is the obvious, most easy way of communicating with Jill. And to be honest, we don't often have an interpreter come in.
My name's Sabina Iqbal. I'm a social worker, I'm a qualified social worker, and I work as a social worker with Asian deaf people and their families. I grew up deaf, which means my main method of communication is using sign language. I can actually speak for myself, maybe on a one-to-one basis, but it's easier when I'm working with families to employ a freelance sign language interpreter. The interpreter is expensive, but the employer doesn't pay.
Access to Work's a government-funded scheme that's delivered through Job Centre Plus, which is part of the Department for Work and Pensions. The aim of Access to Work is to provide practical and financial support to individuals who have a disability or have a health condition that causes them issues that need to be overcome in the workplace.
And the aim of that is to encourage disabled people into employment without the employer having to foot a huge bill and the costs for sort of the adaptations.
We mostly use it around travel, because a lot of our clients can't travel or don't have access to transport, can't use public transport, and they help us with that. They also help us with equipment. If somebody needs some specialist equipment that they wouldn't be able to afford themselves, or the employer doesn't feel it's reasonable to pay for, they will pay for those.
Things have improved hugely.
Technology has been a real boon for a lot of different disabilities. It's quite extraordinary, the difference in that area.
I've got a package at home called Luna, which is magnification. But I'm working with another package called JAWS, which is a talking computer where you don't need a monitor.
Title equals desktop.
With this machine, there's internal speakers, so somebody who's blind can use that and listen to the voice. But if somebody who's not blind, if they want to use it, we just put a screen at the back of the machine and they can look at the screen that way.
Computers have opened up a lot for people with disabilities.
All our blind people we deal with
on email.
The vast majority now have screen reading software. So as before we're having to get things brailled up and large print or whatever. Now we say, well, what do you want it in? And they say, oh, just send it over. So we send it over and it's screen read.
Under the Disability Discrimination Act, there are very specific requirements from an employment perspective and a customer perspective that if you don't meet it and you get caught, you're going to get fined.
The Disability Discrimination Act of 1995 was a very important piece of legislation because it was the first time that a compulsory set of regulations were introduced to outlaw discrimination.
The employer must make reasonable adjustments to their building, to their service, and the way they work with deaf and disabled people.
Companies are making adjustments for everybody. I have to pick children up from school sometimes, or I have to leave early, or start early, or I need to have a break for, and you'll sometimes need a couple of hours in the middle of the day. The modern way of doing things is you do make adjustments for people that you value, and really making adjustments for people with disabilities is exactly the same.
Opportunities to apply for jobs, training, promotion, and also access to equipment to support them, like text, telephones, training, encouraging staff to learn BSL, and also individuals need to be respected and not stereotyped.
The DDA isn't used as a sharp stick to wave at employers by our consultants. it's a useful tool because I think it has made employers look at the way they work and their equal opportunities action plans. They're looking more closely at those. It's also instilled a healthy bit of fear, I think, which helps us somewhat because they do want to employ people with disabilities.
If there's discrimination, then the effect of the new legislation will make it easier to bring complaints in the employment tribunal. And the thing that has to be remembered by an employer is that the level of damages for a disability discrimination claim is unlimited. It's not capped in the way that an unfair compensatory claim is capped.
My advice is always look at it positively. There are real advantages in addressing the whole issue of disability in a positive way.
It's much better to get it right at the beginning and get a good employee rather than on what is effectively prejudice, not employ a disabled person and end up with all the problems that result thereafter.
The DDA asks employers and service providers to make a reasonable adjustment around disability access.
The Act also takes into account the ability of the employer or the resources of the employer.
It may take only a minor adjustment to keep somebody employed or to take somebody on.
For small companies, it's actually easier, isn't it? Because what's reasonable for a small company to do is a lot easier and less onerous than, say, if you're Hertfordshire County Council, you've got 25,000 staff.
Somebody with an illness or a disability, just making adjustments to hours, in terms of people's earning potential on benefits. There are restrictions on hours they can work and still be in receipt of benefits. Just looking at adaptations, looking at maybe changing one area of the job that perhaps somebody else could do, swapping job roles, job sharing, all those options, and it really will give you a committed, loyal staff team.
The first thing is just chat to the employee or the prospective employee and say, well, look, how are we going to deal with this? Because if you've chatted to the person and they say, well, I think that's perfectly reasonable, I mean, that's your adjustment.
One of the things that I say to people over and over again is that a fundamental advantage of recruiting a lot of disabled people is that the turnover rate is much lower, because a lot of disabled people want to work. Once they're offered a job and they get in a job, they want to stay there for a long, long time.
I mean, I had tried, even for part-time work, but I didn't get it, so... And then when I heard of this voluntary job, then I came here. But the thing is, if I can do voluntary work, why can't I do paid work?
Obviously, it's my legs that's gone. I hope that I've still got something up here. Stop laughing. Sort of thing. It's a devil.
It's all down to self-esteem, and you don't get that sitting at home.
I like to have a job where I can say, like, get up in the morning and say, yes, I'm going to work today, I'm going to enjoy this.
If you've got the brains there, why can't you use them? Because they don't seem to think that because, all right, then you're disabled, that you've got the brain power. You have. We're just given a chance to use it. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of disabled people that would like to work, but not given the opportunity.
No.
Employment Direct basically its remit is to find open paid employment for people with disabilities, any range of disability, from mental health, learning disability, sensory and physical. We go through a long period of assessment with our clients. We also network with all the people involved in that person's life, really to make sure that we've got every bit of information we need for a successful outcome. The benefits to clients working is endless, really. It's immediately given them a sense of purpose. Their confidence increases tenfold, self-esteem, self-worth. Their social network, which is actually a really, really important thing, is increased.
I'm Ian Wilson, I work for Pilling Motors. I've been here for 2 years and 7 months and I enjoy every day I work in here.
Yeah, Ian has given us commitment, reliability and honesty, and you can't ask for more.
I like what I do, doing the cars. I make sure that the customers go away happy, the cars are clean, inside and out, and yeah, I take pride in my work.
He's very popular, everybody likes him. He works as part of a team. If we have an evening out, he's always with us. He's just generally one of the boys.
What gives me the great satisfaction is when I have cleaned the customer's car, it's all clean inside and out, and the customer goes away, he's happy and I'm happy.
We have good reports. Thank you very much, the car's beautiful, you know, which goes an awful long way when you've spent a lot of money on a service. Other people, I don't think, have probably given him the opportunity, and now he's got it, he's just grabbing it with both hands.
Right. Can I put these on top? My name's Robert, I work at Pizza Hut. I work in the kitchen. What I'm doing now is filling it up now. You put them on the tray. No, that thing I just had, that square thing, you get that, square all the things off it, wash it, and put them through pot wash, and they come out nice and clean. I had to put a glove on. If I touch them with my hand, they're very hot and they come out the oven.
Robert is a brilliant example of someone who does a brilliant job. He's never had a day off sick. He's one of my most loyal team members that I've had. He's exactly what I'm looking for in a team member. The way I look for people, I look for enthusiastic people, people that are happy, people that are smiley, people who are willing to get on and interact with everyone else in the team. And say Robert is 10 out of 10.
Got my own badge, with my name on it. Like, no, I'm working on the pizza place.
He's here 10 to 12 every day. He's on shift by 12 o'clock. He doesn't leave till 3 o'clock. He'll make sure his job's done before he goes. It's just a pure joy to work with.
How do you feel at the end of the day?
Tired. Tired and sleepy.
Is it a good feeling?
Worn out, yeah.
Well, my name is Pat Phipps. I work in the Hemel Hempstead Sports Centre creche. I've worked here for 20 years as senior assistant and supervisor. And Katie has worked here for 10 of those years.
What's your favourite bit about working here?
Clean the tables. I like wash the windows. So time to make teas. Wash up the teas. Help the children. Take out the animals.
All those kind of things really contribute to the kind of work that we do with these little ones, and I feel that she's fulfilled quite a special function for us.
Other part is Chris Friend's team.
I think confidence is the key thing. It's given her an enormous amount of confidence in being with other people. She has a wide social life at home, but they're all people that she's known since she was a child. So this has really brought her out into the world of work. There are many youngsters out there with Katie's particular condition and other conditions, but it doesn't mean to say they haven't got skills, and skills that are useful.
Do you enjoy it here, Katie?
Yes, lots.
My name is Anthony. I work in Bob shops. I've got uniform on. I start at 9:30 and finish at 3:30.
He helps bring the delivery down. He helps out with the recycling, as you've seen. He helps give baskets and that out to customers and helps out with packing if we get really busy.
Well, I'm going 27 now in the car park.
As you can see, up and down the stairs isn't really an easy task as well. And he's a really fit lad, you know, and he really enjoys doing it, so that makes us feel better as well. I think he's come a long way being here as well. You know, he seemed really confident, which you weren't when you first sort of started. But he's doing really, really well, yeah, really well. So he loves having him here. Girls just all love him. He loves the girls, but yeah, he loves being here. Absolutely loves it.
One of the girls, Angela, could you go and get me 1 egg, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Washing up and serving dinners and that.
and cleaning the toilets and hoovering, cups of tea. Confidence-wise, it really helps a lot. When you're feeling low, you know, you've got someone to talk to and everything. I like my job, I won't go anywhere else. Not unless I have to, because at the moment we're waiting for a ground floor flat for my husband, because he has difficulty walking up and down the stairs where we're living at the moment.
I've heard that you hardly have any time off.
Yeah, we always do, yeah.
How much time have you had off in sick leave?
None.
Do you think it's because that you enjoy the job so much?
Yeah, I enjoy the job.
Well, how about you, Angela?
This is my very first job, and I've been here that long. It proves how much I love it.
Right then. Sorry.
Get out of your house, talk to friends.
In my experience, people with disabilities value their job more than the average person, and they put a lot more effort into it, and they're very loyal and conscientious.
When I left yesterday, I had hopes to get a really good job, to get a graduate job, but very soon reality set in. The main barrier to getting a job is communication, right? From the word go. When I look in the paper, there's nearly all of the adverts say you require good communication. I began looking for a job in July of last year, but I never found a job till March. Currently I'm working at Watford General Hospital in the clinical risk department. This is only temporary, but I'm hoping that it will become permanent. I go for a job, and it always takes me a while to prove myself. So I think they thought, oh, if we take a temporary, we can easily tell her to go, but now they are actually wanting me to stay. It is very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. Because I get almost to a tick list against everything else. And I believe, because I'm a graduate, I could easily be a PA. I could manage diaries, I could arrange meetings, but of course the telephone work would be the job, so therefore I can't go for the job. I would love to have a job which is of graduate telepathy and everything. Those 3 years at university were worth it.
This woman wanted a plastic injection moulding, which is what I'd done. And when I said, by the way, I'm registered blind, she said, I'm not that desperate. And sort of like sunk me down, shot down in flames.
This could be my dream.
I mean, we'd love to work more than anything, but if you're not taken on, you've got no chance.
And then when I came out of there, I was on the scrap heap.
O2. You try anything. Or computers.
Fish,
face-to-face. I'm a tipper.
Or you can look at the person before the disability, really. Look at the
Yeah.
person before so look at you rather than
on the chair and stuff.
I'm a bird. No. No, the sound.
not lower down.
Too bad.
On the same level.
N.
Incentive.
Incentive. To get up in the mornings.
It is blooming hard work, actually managing a business, plus all the issues around discrimination and legislation. But in my experience, and I've talked to thousands of people in hundreds of companies, large and small, and government departments, in my experience it's worth going that extra mile, if nothing else from a purely pragmatic perspective, that as customers it'll improve your bottom line for not a lot of money, and as employees, quite honest, quite a lot of disabled people who have been out of work for quite a long time appreciate so much being given a job. They're valued employees, you know, they want to stay there. It is, I've seen that happen too many times for me to know that that's not just a cliche. It works.